So as we move through the fourth quarter of this year and even into 2022, it is important to remember that economic growth is going to be a lot more uneven than we've seen in that V-shaped recovery coming out of the pandemic. But that doesn't mean that the economic expansion is over. It doesn't mean that we see a recession in the horizon. Some of those factors that really pulled us out of that pandemic are still intact. If you look at the Federal Reserve, even though they're going to start pulling back on some of their emergency measures, they're still going to keep interest rates low for at least another year. If you look at the consumer is still pretty solid. They're still spending at a double-digit pace on discretionary items like autos, furniture, electronics, and going out to restaurants. Manufacturing is still firing on all cylinders just to keep up with the pent-up demand. Businesses are even spending at a rapid pace as well. These supportive factors should keep the expansion intact, but it will be a bit more challenging. There's really three things that we look at that we think are the biggest risks to the economy as we move into the last quarter of this year and into 2022. The first risk that we have to monitor is the supply chain. We all understand that right now there is a significant disruption in the global supply chain, and it's driven by many different factors. You have the Delta variant that caused rolling lockdowns around the world. We have a container and a storage scarcity, specifically here in the US, and we continue to have shortages in the labor market to move these products. So this is causing a significant delay in the entire global supply chain. We don't think that there's an immediate fix to this problem. Right now, there's a significant amount of ships sitting off the coast of California that need to be unloaded and cleared out. This is going to take time. We do think that the supply chain will continue to be a challenge through the end of this year and even into the first half of next year. The second risk we're monitoring is what we're seeing in the global energy market. We're seeing shortages across many different energy resources, and all of these are interconnected, and we're seeing prices rise across the board. The one thing that we're concerned about here in the US is what that does to the consumer. And as you can see in this chart, that the price of gasoline has increased over $1 just this year to date. The consumer makes up about 70% of US GDP. While they may not recognize a small increase in the price of bread at the store, most Americans will feel that pain at the pump, and that's when we may see a fall off in consumer spending. The third thing we need to monitor is the labor market. We've had a significant shortage in the labor market for some time, and this has led to some of the challenges that we outlined before, like the supply chain disruptions. And there's many reasons why we've seen challenges in the labor market. We've seen the federal unemployment benefits. They were extended through September. We had the health concerns, especially with the rise in the Delta variant over the summer months. And then childcare has been an issue because the school openings have been very sporadic. But we do think there's several things that can get the Americans back into the labor force. And what we're looking at is rising prices of your everyday essentials. That will start to be felt by Americans and get them back into the labor force. We're also seeing the Delta variant roll over and vaccinations pick up. So we think that will also help not only get schools reopened, but also get people back to work. It just is going to take some time. Now, all of these risks that I outlined are interconnected with inflation, and that is really the final risk that we're watching going forward. And will it slow economic growth? At this point, we think that the economic expansion will continue, but it will be a bit choppier than we've been accustomed to over the past year.